The Wasteland by Fledermaus is a retro-inspired Metroidvania-style game. Of course, that phrase gets thrown around a lot these days, but in the case of The Wasteland, I found it to be a bit more fitting. Fledermaus has managed to craft a loving tribute to the long-ago days of 16-bit platformers, but one that isn't without some problems of its own. The Wasteland is inspired by the poem of the same name written by T.S. Eliot in 1922. After a short tutorial teaching you the basics of movement and combat, you're placed into the shoes of a king who spends his days in luxury or on long hunting trips. It's on one such hunting trip that introduces you to the world of Wasteland. Setting out, you encounter a mysterious beast in the woods. Slaying it causes the earth to shake. As you return to camp, you find it destroyed and see a strange man floating nearby. This sage tells you that you have destroyed the balance of the world and that you must restore it. It is here that you first get a taste of the king's character. And he's a jerk. Rarely have I come across a more unlikable character in fiction, but the king pretty much takes the cake. Shallow, petty, self-absorbed, and concerned only with his own gain, it's totally impossible to love him. While he does seem to grow over the course of the story, it's very off-putting when you first start the game, and it makes it very hard to find yourself emotionally attached to the character or to get invested in his personal quest to save his kingdom. Fortunately, the game plays another matter. To save the land from evil, you must venture to several temples, obtaining new and better weapons as you go. Combat feels fluid even on keyboard thanks to some smart controls. C jumps, X is your sword, V is your bow and arrow. Sword and bow and arrow will be your primary weapon, and each has distinct advantages and disadvantages. A bow allows you to stay at a safe distance but can take longer to down foes, while the sword dishes out the punishment but also puts you within arm's reach of the monsters. Choosing how to fight is an important part of the game, as is learning to read its map. There's almost no direction in the game save cryptic hints from the sage when you encounter him about the world. The Wasteland is truly a game that wants you to explore, and only walls you off from areas until you have the gear needed to access them. An early example is the double jump, which allowed me to reach ledges barring my way into the next area. As you explore the Wasteland, you'll come across towns, alternate paths, even areas that you couldn't get into before. As I mentioned, the jump boots are one such item that allows you to access these areas. Exploring towns is also critical, as often when you go into a town you'll find that you'll see health power-ups that may be hidden and might require light puzzling elements to access them, and these are well worth it as they upgrade your health by a significant margin. Also, there is a fair amount of verticality to the game, so once you access the double jump and other powers, you can climb platforms that may reach up into the very tip-tops of gigantic trees. At the top of these you'll often find something worthwhile waiting for you. In true Metroidvania fashion, it's worth exploring every nook and cranny of the Wasteland, and it's here that the game really sinks its hooks into you. It's a great feeling when you climb up to the top of a previously unscaled height and find something there for you, or when you fight your way past that monster and get into a brand new area. The game takes you from the oceans, to the forest, to the frozen wastelands, and each new area is distinct with its own art style. While some may not be a fan of the old school art style, I found that after a while it started to grow on me, and I looked forward to my time with the Wasteland. All in all, the Wasteland feels like a smart tribute to old school Metroid and Castlevania games. Fledermaus has done a great job placing you into a world that feels alive and in true peril, even if the main character is a jerk. Aside from a few issues finding my way early on, I enjoyed my time playing through this game. If you're a fan of old school adventure and hack and slash exploration, pick it up on Steam. Wasteland gets a 7.5 out of 10.